So welcome back to Third Rate Content. Today, more ghosts. Here on Pride Hill stands what is now the Nationwide Building Society. But back in the 1700s, this was the Clarendon Hotel. The story goes that there were two travelling tradesmen, and they were trying to sign up custom, both for the same business. But unfortunately, they fell out. Obviously, they were trying to sign the same customers up, and they had a fight, and one of the men stabbed the other to death. The offending man, the one who didn't die obviously, was taken summarily into the back of the hotel, into the stables where they stood, and was hanged and executed. It is now said that the spirits of both of these men haunt the building, where maybe they can fight forevermore. The area at the top of Pride Hill has been the site of witch burnings, executions after the Battle of Shrewsbury, and I imagine other grisly goings on over the years. But the building we're looking at here, which houses the current W.H. Smiths, was built by the Morrises in 1927 in Elizabethan style. And it was here that a fine dance hall, Sprung Dance Hall, was built and frequented by servicemen during the Second World War from the many military bases in the area. The dance hall still stands upstairs on the second floor, lonely and unused. I'd like to get a look at it one day. It is said the figure of a young lady can be seen in 1940s style uniform. She just stands quietly and doesn't have an unhappy aura about her. She just stands in one spot and can be seen from time to time. Behind this 1960s facade and pret-a-manger is the remains of Bennett's Hall. This ancient stonework is from a house that was partially but demolished in the 16th century. Its remains now integrated into the modern restaurant or sandwich shop. There are no reported ghosts that I know about, but with an ancient site like this, one wonders if there is any strange feelings felt by customers or staff that have gone unreported over the years. It's just yet another example of the layers upon layers of history here in Shrewsbury. So, do you have any favourite Halloween films? I've watched a few of mine this season, being Witchfinder General, Blood on Satan's Claws, and Halloween 3. What else but Halloween 3? But yeah, at the moment they're three of my favourite Halloween, spooky, scary films. I mean, Witchfinder General and Blood on Satan's Claw, I think they both utilise the eeriness of the English or British landscape very effectively, and the sort of folk horror themes. But Halloween 3 is a 1980s kind of proto-folk horror, even though it's set in the 1980s. It harkens back to the sort of pre-Christian pagan era, very much like Blood on Satan's Claws. Although Witchfinder General isn't particularly supernatural, that does tap into that whole feeling, and it also shows you how, as much as Matthew Hopkins was the baddie, it was the people who called in the Witchfinder that were as much at fault, in my opinion. But anyway, tell us in the comments what your favourite Halloween films are, if you've got any, and we can compare. The square, with its contrasting architectural styles, holds much history. Yeah, I tend to think of ghost stories or ghost sightings or paranormal activities happening at night. But of course, I don't think ghosts are prohibited from appearing in daylight hours. In fact, actually, ghosts or entities or apparitions, or however you want to look at them, have been seen here walking at strange heights through the square, kind of robed monkish figures. And that they say that is because, going back hundreds and hundreds of years to the medieval times, there were walkways in the square from buildings that aren't here anymore. And that's a kind of explanation for these strange sightings in broad daylight. I haven't seen any today, but that is why they are thought to be still walking in the square. You make your own minds up. Yeah, the figures have been spotted at very strange heights where you wouldn't be looking, you know, like first and second floor. People have looked up and been shocked to see something walking through the air, or dangling through the air in a very ghostly manner if they're really unlucky. Of course, ghosts and the paranormal are kind of a belief thing, I suppose. You can believe in them or not believe in them, but the way I see it is, if you don't believe in them, that's a kind of belief that you don't believe, or you do believe. I kind of just my name should be Steve, because I'm kind of even Steven. I just go with the flow, go with the feels, and my opinion is changeable. But I never actually set it in stone. Yeah, I think you call it hedging your bets. But of course, fairies and witches come from hedges, so you know. To put it succinctly, there is more in this world than that can be seen, weighed or measured. In my opinion, of course. In 1645, during the English Civil War, Shrewsbury was held by the Royalists. The town fell on the night of 21st of March 1645, and this was due to the traitor Captain John Benbow letting the parliamentary forces into the town via St Mary's Watergate. The Royalist forces had no choice but to surrender immediately. Part of the terms of surrender were that the Royalist forces could leave Shrewsbury unmolested, and they headed to Ludlow, a Royalist stronghold. Shrewsbury was taken nearly bloodlessly. However, a group of Irish soldiers who were billeted in Shrewsbury at the time were taken immediately and hung. They would have been hung right where the old house stands now, that black and white timber frame building. And it's said that their spirits still haunt this area for their unfair and unjust killing. But soon after the town had been taken, Captain Benbow realised that he had made an error and requested that he be allowed to return to his old unit, now billeted in Ludlow. The parliamentary officer Benbow made the request to had a short answer for him. He took him outside and shot the traitor, the Double Traitor. This was just outside the castle where the vegetable garden was, once again, site of a lot of Civil War death. But Benbow now lies here in the churchyard of Old St Chad's, with his memorial stone on view for all to see the traitor. But this bottom stone looks like the original, and this one looks like it's been done at a later date. But Benbow didn't have a lot of time for deathbed regrets, as his death came suddenly for his indecisiveness in war. But if anywhere, the spirit of Benbow still may haunt Shrewsbury, along with his one-time Irish comrades who he condemned to an early death. Swift justice for the Double Traitor, Captain Benbow. I imagine it was for the best in the long term. Old St Chad's.
Of course, this was the churchyard used in a very famous Christmas ghost story. I wonder if you can guess what it is. Of course, it's Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, the interpretation, the 1984 adaptation of it, starring Oscar winner George C. Scott, Edward Woodward, and David Warner.
And Michael Carter, who played the character probably most appropriate for this time of year, the ghost of Christmas yet to be. Creepy would be an appropriate adjective.
Yeah, it's a superb Christmas ghost story, and the filming locations, video available to watch on YouTube, is really worth watching. Yeah, I'll leave a link to it in the description box, of course.
And yes, this is the old Church of St. Chad's, or the chapel, the ladies' chapel, the remainder of it. But this is the site of the first Anglo-Saxon church in Shrewsbury. But what preceded it? Well, after the Roman Empire left Britain, the remaining Celts fortified what is now Roxeter. But before long, the Saxons moved them out of their home, and they relocated to here, Shrewsbury, what is today Shrewsbury Town Centre, and they are thought to have called this place Pengwern. And this ties in with our recent visit to Cyndyllan, the last king of Pengwern's burial mound in nearby Little Ness. Cyndyllan fell in battle fighting the Saxons and fighting for his people's existence, but in the end it was all in vain, as the Saxons occupied this site also. But later they lost this area themselves to the Normans. So it just shows you history moves in cycles. The conqueror becomes the vanquished in time. And what foundations Old St. Chad's is built on, and what energies and spirits roam the old crypt that we're looking at here, and what remains, ancient remains, remain here. Who knows? I don't think we'll be doing any digging in this site, what with all the listed buildings and graves here, for many years.
I don't mean we as in third-rate content, I mean by qualified archaeologists. Harris fencing and scaffolding still here, years after it was put up. I'm not sure if any progress has been made on the works, but I wonder if we get to 1,000 sobs before this is all removed.
Yeah, we're just going to head off now onto Wildcop, down to the Nags Head public house. We're going to have another look at the haunted room on the second floor. Recently, you might have seen that there's been a play written about the picture, the painting in the cupboard, and the unfortunate events that occurred at the Nags Head over time. So we're going to go back down, have a look at it, because we have showed it before quite a while ago on third-rate content. I'm going to have a look at it in 4K, of course, with new equipment, and see if we see anything while we're down there.
On our way down the Lion Hotel passage, on our way to the Nags Head, Henry Tudor House here, the timber frame building, is said that here the soon-to-be king, Tudor King of England, stopped on the way to Bosworth Heath, the battle that made him king. And ghosts of many of his soldiers are said to peer through the windows here at various times. Quite an atmosphere down here. The Nags Head public house on Wildcop is a former coaching inn and has visible elements of the building dating back to the 1400s, and the foundations are thought to date back far further. There has been much paranormal activity reported here over the years, not least after 1980 when a room on the second floor was unsealed. It was sealed because of 3 suicides that had tragically occurred there. The first being a maid in the 1700s. The second suicide was a coachman from about 50 years later. And the third suicide was that of an English army officer from World War I who was back on leave and billeted in the room temporarily. The maid was said to have been cleaning in the room alone. When she had finished cleaning later that evening, she started acting uncontrollably manic and unrestrainable. She ran up to the top floor and threw herself from the very windows that are there today, and then was killed outright by a passing stagecoach which ran over her, ending her life prematurely and tragically. The coachman, after dropping his employer, a member of the nobility, at the Lion Hotel, the coachman retired for the night in his room at the Nags Head. All was well until the next morning he was found swinging from rafters. No suicide note was left, and it remains unknown why he took his life. The final death. The English army officer, staying at the Nags Head, simply retired to his room one night, and in the morning was found dead, shot by his own hand with his British service revolver. Again, no suicide note was left, and no foul play was suspected. After this, the room was sealed up for many, many years. And it is thought by many that the painting here of Poseidon with his trident and sea creature consort could have been the reason for these suicides. People were believed to have simply gone mad overnight from spending time with this painting. It's definitely got, in my opinion, an occult signature with its alchemical and occult themes, as above, so below. The painting is watercolour, and it is painted onto the back of the cupboard door. It's definitely got a haunting look to it, but I don't know if it was just the common denominator in the room where the three people basically went insane, and that was given as the most likely reason, Ockram's razor. But anyway, moving on. The room definitely has an ancient and strange feel, undoubtedly. And interestingly, a play has been written about the Nags Head and this painting and room in particular. And it just goes to show how tales of ghosts and the occult add to the very richness of a culture. And a big thank you to Jen, the licensee of the Nags Head, for giving me access to the painting once again, holding my camera and get me a coffee. Thanks, Jen. The Yorkshire House, St Mary's Place, Shrewsbury, connected underground at one time and still partially to St Mary's Church, the ancient, originally Saxon church here in the centre of Shrewsbury. The foundations and original brickwork of the Yorkshire House date back to the 13th century. Cowled and hooded figures, sinister in black, have been seen on multiple occasions through the years in this public house. Yeah, and with the crooked beams and ancient furniture, these figures are said to regularly haunt here, as well as with the Halloween decorations. You might not see them so well. But if anywhere in Shrewsbury were to be haunted, it would be the Yorkshire House. Formerly the site of the Granada Theatre, now home to Buzz Bingo. Of course, the Beatles played here in the early 1960s, but also the arch clowns comedy duo of Laurel and Hardy. They appeared here.
But as far as clowns go, I think Laurel and Hardy would come bottom of any scary clowns list anybody compiled ever.
But there has been sightings of a figure that resembles a young lady. It is thought that this spectre of a female who is thought to have died in one of the upper circle boxes, or who maybe even fell from the upper circle boxes, and continues to haunt what was the theatre to this day.
Of course, the beautiful 19th century train station, Shrewsbury train station obviously, has got ghosts of its own. Let's find out about this one in particular.
In 1888, MP Mr. Thomas arrived at the station to catch his train to London. He was leaving from platform 3. While Thomas waited for his train, on the platform people now catch the train to Chester from, heavy snows caused the ornate glass roof above him to shatter and break, bringing tons of metal, snow and glass onto him, killing him immediately. Travellers on trains and standing on the adjacent platforms have seen a black figure waiting eternally for his train to London, which actually they don't leave from that platform nowadays anyway, so he will be waiting for a long time. But as with any train station, there have been tragedies, industrial accidents and other misfortunes at this station.
So that was the third-rate content Halloween Ghost Walk of Shrewsbury. Hope you enjoyed and you're not too terrified. But yeah, we've had a full Halloween season on third-rate content this year with 2 weeks of videos. So moving on now to the end of the year and Christmas. But anyway, thanks for watching to the end. If you enjoyed, please leave a like if you wish. Think about subscribing if you haven't already, but thank you to everybody who subscribed recently. It's helping the channel amazingly and we're growing and growing. Leave a comment if you'd like to. I love a good comment and a reply where appropriate and applicable. And don't forget to hit the notification bell if you'd like to stay fully abreast of all third-rate content goings on. So anyway, if I don't see you soon, I'll see you 3 times as soon. Enjoy Halloween, don't get too scared, and don't eat too much pumpkin pie. Third-rate content, sign off, bye bye.